Hello, everybody. Ugh, excuse me. Pull that up properly. Channel over here. Make sure I'm actually live. Yep. Pull this up on my phone just so I have an extra view for chat. And I can actually see how many people are watching because the YouTube analytics thing is pretty slow. YouTube. Go to view channel, videos. Sorry, home. Alrighty. Oh, let me put out a community post so people see. Now we're going to watch this on YouTube because Lord knows I'm certainly not. I don't know if you guys were here for the stream yesterday, but Twitch's ads are simply unreasonable. They are unreasonable. They take up 3/4 of the screen with ads, which is just completely unwatchable. So instead, we're watching it on YouTube. I'm going to keep it in theater just because, again, we shouldn't have to deal with any of the annoying, really annoying. What's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? Really annoying ads, of course. And I have YouTube Premium, so no ads at all is the way to watch it. And I'm not going to pay for Twitch Turbo or whatever it's called because I don't use Twitch for really watching anything. I used to stream on Twitch, but I haven't done that in years. I moved to streaming on YouTube, which I plan to do more of. Granted, I played a lot of Borderlands 3 on my own. I kind of made it through like a good chunk of the Mala one, like Invasion of Atlas stuff. But I just want to do that. Oh, we're doing pretty good today. Got up nice and early to handle all the chores for the day, so I would be fully ready to go for the live stream. Let me make sure. Can you guys make sure the desktop audio is at least legible, I suppose. Salamanders are pretty sick. They have some really solid models in Heresy. I play Alpha Legion mainly, and I'm thinking this might be what finally whips me into shape to finish painting all my Alpha Legion models from Age of Darkness. Get all of them painted up. I don't know, and we're going to finally see those new Saturnine models in full beauty. So to buy this box, at least not right away, just because, trying to cut back on Warhammer spending, put aside some money for a new computer, of course. And I get my monthly box of stuff from Combat Patrol, so that's what I'm trying to get through. Actually, I think in February I'm going to do a series. Like, I'm going to upload a video journal every day and try and just get through all of my backlog of miniatures. Just try and get through everything. The Sisters models are also coming in from NX, like the Good, the Bad, and the Weird episode. We got some exciting stuff coming. And of course we have this live stream here. I assume they're going to reveal the new models. They're going to reveal some of the, probably some of the smaller rule changes, things like that. Though I can't imagine there's going to be too many. I think this is more going to be like a Lord of the Rings update where they just kind of tidy things up a little bit. It'll be interesting to see though. Heresy's really fun. I wonder if we're going to see anything model-wise aside from the new Saturnine and the Saturnine Dreadnought Terminators. If we'll see maybe, I don't know, some new vehicles moving from resin to plastic, that'd be nice. Maybe some, I'm always dying for more Alpha Legion stuff. I don't think we're going to see too much Legion specific here. Though it is pretty cool. Salamanders, of course, they're on the box art for Saturnine because, it's like that's what the Saturnine side is painted up as Salamanders, which has such a cool color scheme. I did a video painting them a while ago. They're very fun to paint. It's just such a nice, vibrant green, Aside from that, we're just waiting for the live to start. Started it probably a little earlier than I needed to, but I figure better late than or better early than late. Um, I cut it. I was just playing video games before this because I had handled all my. I went to the grocery store and all that right after I woke up. Felt good. I'm still working on getting my routine, fully in order. Wake up, go to the gym, shower. After walking the dog, do all that stuff in the morning, and then make a video of some kind. But if I do that painting journal thing in February, I'm probably going to be, wake up, go to the gym, do all of that, then start just painting, try and get through everything. I'm not going to paint everything up to an insane standard. I just want everything painted, and then record with my ring light here. This is what I use to record my talking videos, like the one I uploaded the other day, and such. Sorry. I like to keep my phone open here. It just gives me more views of chat. So I just had to make sure that was on. Why you paused? Make sure the ringtone's off. Yeah, aside from that, it's a pretty chill day. Pretty crazy we're having 2 reveal shows back to back. Yeah, I have a few of the plastic contemptors. I used one a couple of years ago. We did this event in the store where it was like start a new army for the new year. And I used one of the contemptors to make a Custodes contemptor because I needed a vehicle for the army. And I wasn't going to buy like a Rhino or a Land Raider for Custodes. There wasn't really a point to. I'm trying to think, so much has already been moved to plastic, but it'd be cool to maybe see some of the Legion-specific stuff maybe start to move towards plastic. I think that would be nice. Because, we have the 3 Dreadnoughts. We're about to get a new Dreadnought. All the Terminators. I guess I don't like it, but it would be cool to see Mark V finally get an update, but we probably won't see that at this preview. That probably won't be for another few months until we see whatever, like, miniature boxes, like they did for Mark III and the Deredeo. I could see that being where we get new Mark V, but I don't like Mark V, so. The Mark II, from the very blurry photos we saw, looked pretty nice, I'll admit. I'd like to see maybe just more stuff for like loadout stuff. I'd like to see more weapon packs. Like the melee weapon pack they released is fine, but it would be nice if they did something like they did with the special weapons, where you just get 2 sprues and you get like 10 of each weapon. Because then I like to run my command squads with power lances for the bonus initiative. But obviously power lances are not that common in terms of parts, so I kind of have to go like third party for it, which I don't mind doing. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it would just be nice if there was just one box I could buy and then just be set on them for a while. I imagine we could see some stuff like that. There's that new looking heavy weapon on the Mark II guys, so maybe we'll see something for that. Maybe I think some guy I was talking to said it might be like a heavy disintegrator or something like that, so maybe there'll be a new special weapon or heavy weapons pack. I think that could be good. Yeah, I think that's all I can really think of. Unless we're going to finally see the legendary plastic Warhound Titan. I can't think of much else. Aside from the Legion-specific stuff. Oh, Destroyers. I'd like to see them get a plastic kit. With the Kimbo pistol options. Stuff like that. I'd love to see that. Because Destroyers, I just think are really like thematic and cool units, so I always like to use them with the jump packs. They get the Toxiferin flamers and stuff like that, which is really cool. Or Rad Launchers. Rad Launchers are fun for that -1 toughness they can give enemies. But the Toxiferin flamers look cooler, and I like using the templates, of course. We're 1 minute out to the reveals. Water check. They're actually going to come out of left field and give us Heresy-era orcs. That's what's truly going to happen. No, that would be funny. It would be nice to see maybe like compendium support for other factions, but that's something that I would not expect at all. That's like a crack dream, It's kind of like what the militia got, you know what I'm saying? I think that could be interesting. And Demon's got a similar thing going on. Some plastic demons, that'd be good. I'd like to see like demon brutes; those move to plastic. I haven't used them, but I hear demon brutes are like insanely overpowered. But yeah, I'd like to see that. More demons, the merrier. Well, I'm working on my Eldar right now, actually. So I've moved away from the demons, Chaos Space Marines route I was going down for a little bit to focus on my Eldar because the Eldar Codex is cool. It's one of the kind of sad things about getting like all of your factions codexes right at the launch of the edition is you kind of get the blandest codexes and then you kind of get like envy. It's like, oh, the Eldar battle focus rule is so cool. So yeah, that's why I'm moving. I'm gonna get my Eldar together. We're planning a campaign, crusade with the new book. So I want to get my Eldar together for that. I'm gonna go pretty heavy on the aspect warriors. I really like them, and I've got some good, alternative models to save some money. And the new Phoenix Lords all look great. Like Lycus looks fantastic. That's probably gonna be one of the first models I get after I finish painting up what I've got. I think I only have like 5 more Guardians to paint, but I just want to get everything out of the way. That's the goal with February. It will be interesting to see what like the lore is. Oh.
The Horus heresy has underpinned the lore of the Warhammer 40,000 setting. A once mysterious reference has grown and evolved to become one of the best-loved aspects of the entire...
Probably Warhammer's second biggest retcon is the entire Horus heresy.
A best-selling series of novels and, of course, many hundreds of glorious Warhammer miniatures. And here's how it all began. 1987. The Horus heresy appears as a snippet of text squirreled away in the Book of the Astronomicon, a supplement for Rogue Trader. 1988. The tabletop battle game Adeptus Titanicus, featuring epic battles between Titan legions, is released. The game is set within the Horus heresy. In the following year, Space Marine, another epic-scale game, emerges, putting the warriors of the Legiones Astartes on the battlefield in massive numbers. 2003, the Horus heresy collectible card game debuts. It features
that's where a lot of that artwork comes from.
The Horus heresy
Interesting.
on the game cards, and also details the events of the heresy through lore included within...
I've never seen this card game before, but that's pretty cool.
2006, Black Library embarks on the ambitious plan to tell the events of the Horus heresy in fiction.
Yep.
This best-selling series goes on to include 54 volumes from many of the greatest writers ever to handle Warhammer fiction. 2012.
That's true.
Forge World unleashes the Horus heresy Age of Darkness.
When I was looking through White Dwarfs for dating purposes for miniatures, I remember seeing the build-up for this.
2015, the Betrayal at Calth board game, including the first new plastic models for the Horus
Cataphracti.
generation. 2018, the setting returns to its roots as the Warhammer Studio unveils a new edition of Adeptus Titanicus.
Such a fun name, huh?
The galaxy-spanning story told through the Horus heresy novels reaches its peak, culminating in the Siege of Terror series.
Yep.
2022, a new edition of the Horus heresy game is released. Warhammer, the Horus heresy Age of Darkness. Boasting incredible new plastic kits and refreshed rules, this edition reaches more fans than ever before. 2023, Legions Imperialis bursts onto the scene, allowing battles between the Legiones Astartes, the Titan legions, and more, with small-scaled miniatures on truly incredible...
A lot of people in my store are getting into Imperialis,
that brings us to today, the 23rd of May, 2025. Welcome to this Warhammer preview.
I should have waited 2 days. 5/25/2025.
Horus heresy.
Oh, my air conditioning just kicked
Hello,
on.
everybody, and welcome to this very special Warhammer preview. My name is Adam Troke. I'm joined by my colleague and friend Eddie Eccles.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to talk about Horus Heresy.
Absolutely. Welcome, everybody, to the Warhammer, the Horus Heresy Dropsite preview. We're here for about an hour or so to give you the lowdown on a load of amazing new Horus Heresy reveals. Before we do, I should introduce the third member of our broadcast team. Let's throw the camera
Question
over
guy.
to the Lawmaster Alex Gotti in Question Corner.
Yep, the question guy.
Oh yeah. So because we're live today, we are going to be taking questions. However, there are many thousands of you in the chat. So if you have questions all in caps at the start, I've got a better chance of catching.
Leo.
Right, so the way this is going to work is we have absolutely loads of great Horus Heresy stuff to show you. We've got some videos, we've got some pictures of some new miniatures. We might have a little bit of a discussion about rules, loads of really good Heresy stuff. So stay tuned, there's loads of stuff.
About an hour of reveals
If you're a
ahead,
fan of
let's
Horus
get
Heresy
it.
already, you're in for a treat. If you are
on.
new to the Horus Heresy and are Horus Heresy curious, you are very welcome, and we hope you find an amazing resetting and game to enjoy.
Horus Heresy is a
The
great
chat
game.
is busily filling up, so while everybody files in and gets their space ready for the Dropsite preview, it's
Oh
always
man,
worth
oh
just
man.
doing a couple of questions out there. And my first question, I always like to ask this when we're doing a preview, is where in the world are you tuning in from?
Arizona.
Let us know in the chat. It's always good to get a sense of where the Warhammer community is piling in from. We'll get Alex to give us the lowdown on where you're all from. It's always nice to know.
Yeah, and just while you're introducing yourselves in the chat, Adam, have you got any Horus Heresy hobby on your table at the moment?
So, this is the golden question, right? So, I have a Horus Heresy army. I do First Legion Dark Angels, as I do for more or less everything. I've got about
Dark
10,000
Angels, very fun model range in Heresy.
But I'm having a bit of an existential crisis because I want to try something new. You'll see, I'm repping Iron Warriors colours today, because I think I fancy trying some Iron Warriors.
I'm sticking Alpha Legion.
out.
Alpha Legion to the
Possibly,
end.
If you've got a Legion that you recommend in the chat, shout it out. We'll maybe hear some suggestions. for the show.
Do you think Adam should choose Iron Warriors, or if you think there's another Legion that would be better suited
Alpha
for him, by
Legion.
all means, pipe up in the chat.
Everyone should
I
play
myself
Alpha
have got some
Legion.
white scars on the hobby table at the moment.
Okay.
I've never painted a white army before, so I'm quite looking forward to it.
You often paint black, don't you?
Yeah, I always end up kind of gravitating towards the guys in black armour because they've got, there's some pretty cool choices out there.
First Legion.
But I thought I'd try white scars because the colour scheme I think is very cool. And
Yeah, White Scars also have some fun units. I quite like their Ebon Keshik.
Let's go over to Alex and find out where everybody's calling in from.
From every corner of the world, America, Brazil, Switzerland, Sweden, Australia. A couple of people
worldwide
from
hobby.
Italy, plenty of people from over in the Dallas Open.
Oh yeah, Dallas Open's going on.
They seem to think that you should probably stick with Dark Angels.
Stick with the Dark
Oh.
Angels. I mean, why break the habit?
we'll
of
see
the
how you
lifetime?
feel at the end of the preview, shall we?
Yeah,
If anything that we show maybe sways you towards a
One
certain
or the
allegiance
other.
or otherwise.
I do fancy a change of painting technique though. We shall see. Yeah, thanks. And it's really great to have you wherever you're from. We love it when the Warhammer community feels truly global. So this is a special time for us.
Quite.
Right. So, I guess what we should do is, Eddie's already said how the run of this thing's going to go. Over the next hour or so, we're going to preview all sorts of
Just
great
slipped on
Horus
my
Heresy
neck, funny.
content. There'll be some reveals
Got a
you've
crick in
never
my
seen
neck.
before, and it should be a very exciting time for everybody. But what better way to kick off a preview like this than with a brand new animated
Ooh,
cinematic trailer?
the first animated trailer was really good. Let me move my camera so it's not in the way so much, I suppose.
An oddity among his schematics and calculations. Yet, they seemed to help him. A way he could express the enormity of his plan.
We got some Custodes action. And Sisters, of course.
Not if the Legion's a success.
Yeah, that is their current lore.
It depends on how deep the rot goes.
I always, I don't know, to me Constantine, when I read the books, he always seemed like he'd be much older. There's that autocannon platform. Not much match for a Kratos, I'll admit. Bunch of dudes getting out of Spartan. Combi Melta. Can't wait to see the new Praetor models in full. The Praetor models for last edition looked fantastic. There they are. Our big dogs. They do look pretty damn imposing, huh? And he's gonna get jumped by the Praetor, I presume. Oh no, the new Dreadnought. Look at that plasma cannon. Is that shit not crazy? Malkador?
Surprised?
In the end, I suppose not. Do you wonder if they might be right? Many will sympathize with their rebellion.
I am the Emperor's spear. What I think doesn't matter.
What now, then?
We make ready for a war that may never end.
Pretty sick trailer, I'll admit. Not quite as metal as Horus and his whole speech, but I mean, you were never going to get better than that.
What an incredible way to kickstart the announcement of a new edition of Warhammer Horus Heresy. Eddie, what can you tell us about the
Let me
trailer?
turn that volume.
Absolutely. So that was the brand new Horus Heresy cinematic trailer announcing the new edition of Warhammer the Horus Heresy and the new box set which is on its way, which is Saturnine. Very cool. And before we talk too much about this box set, let's
That's
just
true
take a
about
moment to
Malkador,
have a
that's
chat
true.
about what we just saw in that cinematic trailer. Lots of very cool stuff there, from the Palace of Terror to the Black Sands of Istvan. We saw some new units we've never seen in action before, some new characters, some new places we've never been before. Adam, do you have a thing?
Yeah, I do. And it might be a surprise or not, depending on how you felt about the trailer. But for me, it's the Iron Warrior Centurion. He's the star of the show as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, Centurion. I figured that would be a Praetor.
Brilliant ambush against the Salamanders, and then charging off to tank on Saturnine Dreadnought. Amazing. Loved it.
That dude had like a power axe. He's not beating a dreadnought with
Very
that.
cool.
Yeah.
So we've never been there before. We've never kind of had any glimpses of it outside of the excellent fiction from Black Library, of course. But a chance to see the Imperial Palace.
The scale of it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
like when you
Jeez.
have that shot over Malkador's shoulder, and you can see in the distance there's like a little ship flying along, and you realise that's like half a kilometre long.
It was a really good cinematic. They do not mess with
And I
their
think,
trailer cinematics.
Definitely a trailer to pick over in detail. So that will be up on all of our various social media channels very soon. So if you want to rewatch that, pause it, and soak in all the glorious detail, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
But the trailer is only, of course, the herald of greater things, which is...
Can't wait to see the Saturnine up close.
Launching with this new box, Saturnine.
Very
We've
exciting.
obviously never seen before.
Yeah, you'll have never seen this anywhere ever. Any rumours would have just been hearsay, I imagine. Do the honours, do the honours.
There we go. And first thing to say is that it is a
New measuring
heavy,
sticks?
hefty box. You can see it is absolutely packed to the brim with plastics. There is loads of useful stuff in there.
There are a few
dive in.
things that will just cover off the bat, right? It has a range ruler, that will probably come as a surprise to nobody. And it does have, if you are a fan of the Horus Heresy game, you will already be familiar with these.
Oh boy,
It has,
another
blast
set of
markers
blast
and,
templates.
my favourite, the Flamer template. Great for dealing
Salamanders
with the
fans
enemy.
will enjoy that.
Anybody who likes setting fire to the enemy.
Dive in, right? So the first new plastics. This is a Mark II Crusade armor Space Marines. There are 4 of these frames in the box, and each one of these boxes makes 10 Crusade armor Space Marines.
So 40
As you can tell,
Mark
they are
IIs.
glorious and multi-part, loads of different options.
Ooh, those look good.
You can build them in a variety.
Friendship with Mark III ended. Mark II is cooler. Oh my god.
So these are the guys you have kicking around in big squads, firing lots of bolter shots, and these are kind of line troopers, Crusade armor, named of course after its performance in the Great Crusade.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is an iconic...
I imagine
silhouette for,
Saturnine's just going to be
Space
like an
Marines, of course.
extremely expensive
As
and
you said, there are
uncommon
40,
set of power armor,
tactical
so
legionaries
that's going to be
in
its
this
war.
box, and you can build them in different ways. In a moment, we'll shift you over, and you'll
Don't
be able
those
to
Mark
see,
II look good?
some of the other options that come. There you go. So one of the things that this set contains is obviously all the command options you need for your Vexilla and your
Sergeant.
God,
and box.
I'm going to be
So
real. I really dislike
everything you
Mark
need to
VI
make
when
full
painting it,
squads.
but this looks
And
perfect.
quite excitingly, they also contain some special weapons.
That's
I have
nice.
a frame here if you want to have a look at it, or maybe we'll put them up on the screen. So these are legionary veterans with disintegrator weapons.
Yeah,
So if
disintegrators.
you've not seen disintegrator weapons before, these might be familiar if you're old enough to remember a model that was released around the time of Rogue Trader. I think it was LE02.
Lee 2.
And there's been a redo. Here you go. You can see the frame in my hand.
That's nice.
So the
You
set
get- you just get
contains frames
disintegrator
of these, so
weapons.
You can equip, I think it's up to 20 of the models
Yep.
as full squads of legionary veterans armed with
So
disintegrators.
you get effectively these smaller guns here are disintegrator rifles, and you've got enough of those to have 20 legionaries with disintegrator rifles. But you can also upgrade some models in the squad to have heavier versions of them. You've also got things like combi disintegrators in the mix as well, and all sorts.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're wondering, they are extremely dangerous weapons.
They are.
There's some risk and reward to how you use them. but fantastic for some serious.
Yeah, the Mark II looks so good. Oh my god.
Those, like a lot of the other weapons in games of the Horus Heresy, are also compatible with lots of across the wider Space Marine range. So if for some reason you really didn't like Crusade armor, although that's crazy because everyone loves Crusade armor, you could also.
I really like. I think they're like Tigris pattern bolters they've got. Look great too.
It's one of the really nice things about the Horus Heresy miniature range.
Oh my god. Oh, I should see if anyone at the store wants to buy my Mark 6 Marines, because I only want these
We're
guys.
showing them for the most part in the colours of the Iron Warriors and the Salamanders Legions. But you can paint this, the contents of this entire box set however you like. You can see here some just beautiful examples that the studio painting team have done of other colour
Light
schemes.
Scars.
Some legions in particular. So the White Scars, for example, were famed for
Space
Crusade
Wolves.
armor in the Great Crusade era. So,
Imperial Fists.
you can really sort of
Ultramarines.
character into your collection.
Night Lords, Blood Angels. Show me the Alpha Legion. They're going to be last because they're going through numerically, I think. Iron Hands, World Eaters. There's so much greebly detail there. I
Well, this is
love
the
it.
problem. Is why I'm having such an issue, right? Is that basically all Space Marines look great. I do
look
like
at
the
that candy
simplicity.
red.
I do like the simplicity of the Fourth Legion, though. It's good and robust.
Let us know in the chat, guys, if you've got a favourite from the ones.
Oh, the Word Bearer looks
They
amazing.
all look amazing. That's the point.
Right. While we're talking about Mark II armor, we should bring your attention to the next of the frames
No.
of the kit. This is the Mark II armor Centurion, who is there we go. Who is the commander you saw essentially in the.
Interesting. So they're going for a
Praetor
Centurion
while
instead
ago.
of a Praetor.
This is a great kit. It makes your Centurion. He has a combi melter that you saw in action actually, and a power maul. He has a cyber familiar, great banner for all of your Legion heraldry, and quite excitingly, he has a second head option. So if you want to build him as a different
It's
option,
criminal. It's criminal.
And the fact that the head is separate as well means you can obviously interchange that with lots of other kits too. But a very cool, imposing looking character.
It's a solid looking model.
It's fairly imposing too. So, a very nice little piece.
Yeah. I'm pretty high on that model as it goes. While we're talking about the things that are in the kit, I should bring your attention to the Arachne.
Quad autocannon platform.
Oh, there you go. I knew I was going to bungle something. So this is across 2 frames. It's a really substantial kit. There you go. Eddie, do you want to stick the one with the guns in? That's a bit more exciting, isn't it?
So this has got.
I really like autocannons, so.
That's
but
right.
It's got twice as many of them. So if you've ever had to face a Sakaran in games of Horus Heresy, you'll know that they're fairly
There we go.
decent against almost any target. It's a very flexible gun.
I love autocannons, so I'm a big fan of that.
So you plonk these on a nice defensible position somewhere in your battle line.
Beefy.
And just dominate the battlefield and kind of control the fields of fire.
It has a couple of things going.
Quite
One is
accelerator
you can drop it
platform.
down into battle, and the other is it has an atomantic purveyes. If you're familiar with those, maybe you've used radio dreadnoughts or things in the past. That gives you some really useful defensive benefits, and I can quite imagine lines.
No
of
instant
these
death and
pouring
vulnerable
shots into the
saves.
enemy. A bit like in the trailer.
Absolutely.
Right. So that is half of what's in the box set in terms of the miniatures. Yeah. So numerically more, but an equal number of the kits. So the other half is what gives the box set its name, which is the Saturnine stuff. And before we show you the Saturnine models, let's show you a little something on what Saturnine actually is.
There we go.
Saturnine Tactical Dreadnought Armor is the heaviest and most advanced suit of armor in the Imperium. Its origins are shrouded in mystery, but it is known to have originated in the tech enclaves of Saturn. There are records of Saturnine-clad warriors as early as the late Unification Wars and the First Battle of the Great Crusade. Complexities of its production meant that it was soon overshadowed by the more numerous Cataphracti and Tartarus pattern suits. Saturnine armor was already fading into legend by the dying days of the Great Crusade. That was until the Primarch Vulcan took it upon himself to unlock the secrets of this venerable technology. He was successful, and, ever the loyal son and brother, gifted his findings to all legions. So it was that as heresy erupted across the galaxy, Saturnine technology was turned against the Imperium that it was forged to protect. A warrior in Saturnine plate is a formidable opponent. Though ponderous, they are immune to most enemy attacks, and themselves wield some of the most lethal Legion portable weaponry ever devised. The Saturnine Siege Dreadnoughts take this durability and destructive potential even further. Those in turn are required to be of an especially disciplined mind. But for those that can master it, there are few foes that can stand before their wrath.
Yeah, it's pretty much what we thought. Pretty rare.
Welcome back. That was a good little primer on what Saturnine is, and we got to see, a little bit of what it looks like. Let's delve into the models.
Yeah, here we go. So we'll kick off with the Saturnine Terminators. I've got one of the sprues here. So you get
up close.
2 of these sprues.
Those Terminators look so good.
Each one of these will give you 3 Saturnine Terminators, so 6 total across the box, and they have a variety of different weapons. As you heard from the video there, they are very powerful, but very quite rare, I suppose, in armies. So certainly at the time of the Dropsite massacre, they were just being reintroduced en masse. So certainly not as numerous as the other marks of Terminator armor, but more powerful, more devastating, able to carry better weapons, and more able to resist enemy fire. So a very powerful unit.
Yeah. Speaking of those weapons, this kit has 3 sort of main weapon options. As you can see, each Saturnine Terminator has 2 main weapons. So here you can see they have the heavy disintegrators and the disruption fists. The weapon kit also includes plasma bombards, which you can see here. Now, the interesting thing about them, if you look at the one on the right-hand side as you look at the screen, he's got 2 plasma bombards. These can be used on either arm, so you can swap them around. The kit contains 6 Terminators and 18 weapons, 6 of each of the main weapons. So essentially, you could do, for example, 3 with double plasma bombards, or
that's a good way of putting it. Centurions, but good.
You can put the disruption fists in. The disruption fists are always on the left. I'll leave it to you to work out the best armament. And here you can see some just beautiful examples.
Oh my goodness! Oh my damn!
They've been done by the Warhammer painting studio.
Yeah, I mean, so again, you can have these in any of your legions. They look good in almost any colour. You've got lots of lovely armor plates there to kind of show off your painting skill. The salamander ones have obviously got that beautiful kind of volcanic
beefy.
look to them.
I like it.
White Stars one there showing off what you can do with lovely Legion heraldry. But yes.
Yeah, and if you're wondering how these are going to fit into your existing army, if you're already a player,
heavy support.
Saturnine armor is more durable. The weapons are extremely powerful. They're well protected. They have thermal diffraction fields. And they can fire both.
Alpha Legion! Oh my god, that looks so cool.
So when you consider the plasma bombard, which is essentially an indirect fire plasma cannon, you can imagine the potential for wreaking havoc on the enemy.
I just want to run these guys with plasma
alongside
cannons.
your squads of Saturnine Terminators, you obviously need someone to lead them into battle, and the box set has got one of those as well. This is a Praetor in Saturnine Terminator armor. And he's absolutely jam-packed with detail and also quite a lot of options.
There's a big character sprue.
You've got choices for how you want to put him together. That is the sort of out-of-the-box salamander version of him, and you can see he has an absolutely enormous hammer, which is about twice the height of a Space Marine, so you'd imagine that makes a mess when it hits.
Yeah, so he's holding a Saturnine Disruption hammer. The kit contains 2 options for the sort of the faceplate of the hammer. In terms of other options, there are 2 options for the lanyard. There's 2 options for sort of his tabard. 4 options for the head.
Completely different pose.
Another major option, which is there's also a Saturnine War Axe. This model, in particular, I think is just one of the most impressive Space Marine miniatures I've ever seen. Whoever painted it and posed it has done an amazing job.
Yeah, I think these guys are very, very powerful in game as well. So in Warhammer: The Horus Heresy, as well as Space Marines, you also have the demigods of battle walking around. You have like Primarchs and
he's built different. I mean, look at that guy.
A Praetor in Saturnine Terminator armor is pretty much as tough as you can make a Space Marine get. So in terms of stat line and damage output,
I love my big beefy
infantry. He is approaching the
infantry.
level of some of the Primarchs.
Big unit of 6 of them.
You can always think twice before you're fighting with anybody, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely. They are very, very powerful, and they look great as a centerpiece kit. If you've decided that you don't
There's
want
quite
to
a lot of options. That's crazy.
You want to represent a legion or a chapter that isn't fighting alongside one, or if you just want to have another bruiser in your force alongside a Primarch, it's a great thing to add in.
That guy, big unit, plasma cannon, power
go
fist.
to what, for many people, I think is going to be the centerpiece kit in Saturnine, which is the Saturnine Dreadnought. This comes on a variety of frames. Like we can't possibly get more than at once.
Look at them all.
But this is essentially an upscaled version of the Saturnine armor that you've seen up till now. It is the largest and most powerful dreadnought in the armories of the Legionis Astartes.
I mean, that thing is
and
huge.
It towers above other dreadnoughts. In terms of what it's armed with, it has disintegrator cannons.
Look at
That's
the
that
plasma
enormous
bombard
gun
on that
left
thing.
arm. It has a heavy plasma bombard on its right arm, and it can fire both. This is a real heavy-duty war machine. Again, it has that same thermal diffraction field to protect it from injury. It's mounting sort of point defense weapons in its chest armor. This is a real bruiser.
Yeah, a huge amount of firepower on this thing as well. Even more firepower than you can expect from some of the other very large dreadnoughts that you get in the Horus Heresy. So
Look at that size difference from into the Space Marine.
It is a powerhouse. It's pretty much the most powerful walker that you can have in a Space Marine Legion army, approaching the level of some of the knights and things like that. So definitely a great addition to any Space Marine army.
Yeah, in those chest-mounted weapons, I was trying to remember the name of it. It either is 2 photonic incinerators or it's twin concussion resonators. We'll tell you what those do in articles in the future, but they're a bit like, in effect, flamers, but they each have their own special effects on top. So
Man, that model looks good, huh?
A marker, and they're very nasty if you get too close.
So that is all the miniatures from the Saturnine box set. I think we might have a nice shot of all of them together somewhere to show you kind of how it all looks when it's all laid out together.
I could see it, yeah.
There it is,
Neat
beautiful.
net.
So we have painted this box set up in 2 colours. We have the Salamanders on one side and the Iron Warriors on the other. We'll let you in on a little secret. If you want to buy this box and paint them all one colour, you can absolutely do that. And it actually gives you a really solid start to a Space Marine force. That is pretty much a self-contained, medium-sized Horus Heresy army ready to go straight out of the box.
Perfect.
I need to finish everything next month. Everything I have unpainted so I can justify buying
For
this.
us maybe to see if there's any questions bubbling up in the chat. Let's throw over to question corner with our Lawmaster. Alex, what have we got?
There are indeed, there's a lot of excitement, particularly about Saturnine. So just nipping back to the Mark II, do they work with all the other kits, like the heavy weapons, special, melee?
That's a really good question. If we didn't cover it off clearly enough, yes, the special weapons and heavy weapons that are already within the plastic Horus Heresy range are completely compatible with those. I've seen some, they look great, so yeah, you've got a lot of variety.
There's a lot of people liking the veterans with the disintegrators. How many of those come in the box?
So there's 40 Mark II legionaries. You can build them as the veterans with disintegrators, and I think, I wouldn't want to bet my life on it, but I think you can make 2 full squads of 10 with all these.
You can absolutely do that. You actually,
and you'll have some spares after.
You will end up with some spares, so you can do 2 full squads of 10, and every single person has a disintegrator rifle, but you also have heavy disintegrators that you can add in.
That's what I like. That's one of the problems I had with Age of Darkness, is just everyone had bolters.
Disintegrator guns that you can put on Mark II Space Marine.
So lots of people asking, who can use Saturnine? Same question regarding the whole box. There's no sculpted Legion-specific iconography on them at all.
So that's a really good question. So any Legion can use any of the stuff in this box. It's almost designed that way so you can paint it up in whatever colour you like. There are a few of the kits that have certain aesthetic elements on them that look a little bit more traitor or a little bit more loyalist. So if you really want lots of eagles and scroll work, some of the kits have more of that. And then there's an option to swap it out for more chains and more kind of eyes of Horus.
Where those parts exist on the kits, they are the optional parts. Yeah. So you can sort of tailor your...
I can't get over the Saturnine Dreadnought. That thing is too cool.
This is a box set that any Space Marine Legion army could make full use of. I should also add, just in case the question who can use Saturnine should interpret it differently, one of the great ironies of Vulcan's beautiful gift to all of his brothers was that he sent Saturnine armor to all of the Legion.
He's a really generous guy.
And so
really nice.
It's a bit sad that it was then used against him on his back.
There's a lot of release-related and rules-related questions, some of which will be answered.
We might have some rules later. Who knows? Who knows?
And the final one, somebody was asking, how does the Arachne compare to the Tarantula? And several people asked, can we have a Leviathan for scale? And I think we do have something.
We do have some things for scale. So it just so happens
that thing's
we have
big.
Some of the models here.
That's
so,
a
we'll start
big
with
turret.
The Arachne Quad Accelerator platform, and I think we'll compare this in size to one of the Mark II Legionaries.
It looks so weird.
So that is about the size of it. So it is certainly considerably larger
Got a Mark
than
6 here.
the Tarantulas.
That's pretty big.
We're expecting you to see the size of those accelerator cannons are themselves about 3 times as long as a Space Marine each. So you can imagine that when they hit, they can make a mess of pretty much anything. So that is a fairly formidable gun platform there. It's a lot bigger than Tarantula. In terms of how they compare to some of the other things, we also have a Saturnine Terminator.
Look at that
So
guy, he's
when we
huge!
compared to standard Space Marine Legionary, you can see that they are good, almost twice the height actually by the time you've factored in all of the size of them, and certainly in mass, considerably larger. And we also have how a Saturnine Terminator compares to
Oh, poor Tartarus.
current.
I love Tartarus armor, but he's looking so weedy
So I
these
think to bear
days.
in mind when you look at this, obviously, is that it's bigger armour. A lot of that height is in that shoulder armour, where the thermal diffraction fields and the technology that allows it to teleport strikes don't exist. But these are towering suits of armour.
Yeah, I've also got heavens integrated there. On the
Always, always jolly.
Yeah.
We should show you how the Praetor compares.
Absolutely, yeah. So the Praetor is
Oh my God, those are
very
beefy.
large, imposing-looking model. Here he is compared to Saturnine Terminator and one of the current Tartarus Terminators. One of the things we said earlier on is that the Saturnine armor for the Praetors actually allows them to go toe-to-toe with some of the kind of big hitters of the Horus Heresy, the Primarchs and things. So we've actually brought along Vulcan himself to give you a comparison about
Yeah, that's
how
not
big
far off.
those Saturnine
He's
Terminators
not
are
far
compared to
off.
something like a Primarch. So the Primarch himself, obviously, in terms of stature, is still significantly larger, but you can see that the kind of additional armor plating afforded to the Praetor in that Saturnine plate
Well, you need a Primarch, but you
certainly
don't have
makes
the
his
points.
presence on the battlefield almost as imposing as a Primarch, which is pretty
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely.
Pretty cool. All right. I think we had some questions about the size of the dreadnoughts as well.
Yeah,
Can we
let's
have
do
a Saturnine versus things for scale? So we'll keep Vulcan there, just so we can get a sense of size.
Look at the size of
Here
that
is
thing!
One of his finest creations, the Saturnine Dreadnought. There we go. So you can see even a Primarch standing next to one of these things is dwarfed by the size of the Saturnine Dreadnought, absolutely towering over him. We have a few of the other Dreadnoughts to kind of show you the scale. Vulcan, thank you so much for showing up, Vulcan.
Yeah,
See you later.
always an honour.
Have a great time in this fan.
Probably.
This is courtesy of Terra. We have one of the Legion
my
Custodes
goodness.
Contemptor Dreadnoughts. So
Yeah,
more, it's
absolutely.
slightly larger actually than some of the other.
If you're
Contemptors.
familiar with the Contemptor chassis, it's a decent sized sort of dreadnought frame, and he comes up to about 2/3 the way up the torso. One of the bigger dreadnoughts, we've referenced it already once this evening, is the Duradio.
There he is.
So here he is with all the guns.
He's huge!
There was a definite request in the chat.
Leviathan for scale,
bought
was
the
it?
Leviathan,
Yeah.
So excuse me.
Banana for scale.
So the Leviathan, currently the largest dreadnought walking on any battlefield in Warhammer, and as you can see, even the Leviathan dreadnought is a good shoulder plate smaller than.
It's really interesting, though, isn't it? You can imagine sort of the Saturnine sort of stomping forward with the extra sort of thermal diffraction fields, taking sort of the heat as they make their charge.
I mean, it certainly makes an all dreadnought Horus Heresy army appealing, right? So like the
Oh my God, all
the
dreadnought.
whole bit,
March of the
whole
Ancients.
family, the whole gang get together, comes across the battlefield, could look very cool indeed. So there you go. Some scale shots there. I'm sure we'll have some more various scale shots and things up on the Warhammer community website in the not too distant future as well.
Perfect. So we've talked a lot about all of the miniatures that come inside Saturnine. We've done a pretty good job, I think, of showing you all of the stuff you get and how it scales. We haven't really talked about the rules yet, so it's probably time for that. Why don't we begin with this little primer about the new rules?
A new edition of Warhammer the Horus Heresy means big changes to the rules of the game. Players will need to adapt to the new realities of war in the Age of Darkness. For those generals who can master these changes, you will find new tools and abilities that will help you to secure victory. Battles are won and lost by the feet of legendary heroes. There is now a new suite of abilities for your characters to use when locked in a lethal duel with an enemy champion or commander. The rules on assembling your army for battle are more flexible than ever, allowing for thematic and powerful armies, supported by allies of your choice. Killing the foe is not the only way to dominate the battlefield. Representing the debilitating effects of the myriad weapons of the Age of Darkness, new tactical statuses allow you to subdue an enemy army before breaking their spirit and putting them to flight. Representing the mental fortitude of your troops, new advanced characteristics represent their ability to follow orders, stay calm under pressure, and fight on in the face of overwhelming odds. Every weapon in the game has been reworked, including the addition of a damage characteristic, as well as many melee weapons offering new bonuses to those skilled
No more
enough to
brutal.
wield them. These are just a handful of the new rules in the upcoming new edition of Warhammer: The Horus Heresy.
I think it's not a bad idea to get rid of brutal.
What a fantastic primer on the new rules, and we've taken the liberty of cracking the rulebook out of the Saturnine box.
Yeah, I have been given permission to break the seal on the rulebook that we just opened up from our Saturnine box. So here we go. Let's open it up.
Are you going to do it so you can keep it for now?
No, I've broken it. I just broke the seal. There we go. Right.
Purity seals.
So we have two reference compendiums, one for me, one for you, so we can play a game later. There we go. And inside this, we have the beautiful new Age of Darkness rulebook. It is a hefty tome, clocking in at 352 pages.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I have been reliably informed that
There's more than 100 pages at the start of that book are detailing the lore and the history of the Horus Heresy. So from the events that lead up to the heresy, so through the Great Crusade, and then obviously the things that cause the actual breakout of the heresy. Then you've got an incredible primer on
Saturnine.
all of the forces that take place within it. So the 18 Space Marine Legions, forces like the Solar Auxilia, the Mechanicum and so on. This is a really brilliant way of dipping your toe into the lore if you never have. If you are an established fan of the Horus Heresy, I've been following it since I was about 10 years old, and there were still new things in there for me to learn. I really enjoyed sort of wading through the lore section of that book. But there's also rules.
there's also loads of rules. So the back half of this book is obviously the rules of the new edition of Warhammer: The Horus Heresy, and we certainly haven't got time today to go through absolutely every rule of the new edition, but we do have a few little nuggets that we can share with you, a few things that Josh has already hinted at. So let's talk about stats. This
Pretty
is the
standard.
stats of a legionary in the new edition of Warhammer: The Horus Heresy. As you can see, some returning favourites in the stat line: movement, weapon skill, ballistical, strength, toughness, wounds, initiative, attacks. All the classics are there.
But what is this? New stats.
There's a
Eddie.
new stat bit.
Leadership,
section at the
cool,
bottom. Here
willpower,
is an
intelligence,
advanced stats
some
section,
Necromunda stats.
who broadly deal with the mental capabilities and fortitude of your Space Marines. You will notice that alongside save and invulnerable save at the bottom there are 4 stats. Leadership returns, demonstrating how good your troops are at taking orders and rallying when you tell them to. You have CL, which means cool, which is how well your troops fare under fire and how well they can deal with things like sniper fire and bombardment and avoiding pinning and things like that.
Yep.
You have WP.
That's
which-
willpower,
It is
which
willpower.
is essentially your warrior's mental fortitude. When it
These are old
comes to things
stats coming
like
back.
psychic
I'm down with
tests
it.
And resisting psychic powers. So think of that as the ability of your character to have a fortress of his mind and either use that offensively or defensively. And then lastly, you have intelligence, which is his ability to do technical actions under duress. So it's the sort of thing you can imagine the servants of the Mechanicum will make great use of, maybe when they're repairing vehicles or each other.
Yeah, you also using things like communications equipment
Sure.
and that sort of stuff. Anything that's interacting with tech, basically.
I like it.
If you have been around in Warhammer 40,000 for a very long time, and I'm talking Rogue Trader era, you will recognise these stats as being from the very first edition of Warhammer 40,000. But they haven't been included just for nostalgia's sake. They give more nuance to the way the game works and more interactions and more differentiation between the types of unit you can include. So things like chaplains and librarians and tech marines will all vary quite a lot in these stats in terms of what they bring to your army. You can see here a legionary is 7 across the board, which means that when you take these tests, for the most part you're rolling 2d6 and trying to score equal or less than your score, much like you do with current leadership. So legionaries are going to pass most of these tests most of the time if they roll on the averages. There will be some things that are much better at taking these tests. So Primarchs, for example, push some of these numbers into double figures.
Yeah.
And there are some units which have quite low stats. So things like tech
Tech rolls,
rolls
yeah,
were
there you
the
go.
ones that we found earlier on, which have fairly atrocious stats for these. So not very good at resisting psychic powers, but actually very uncaring when their fellow troops get taken out by
Pretty good at doing
fire.
what they're told.
Yeah, they're good at doing what they're told, but not much else. Yeah.
Absolutely. And the stats, they're used for a thing in the game which is new, which is your tactical status. I've grabbed the last frame out of the box. I don't know if you can see this.
We saw these
It's
in the leak.
essentially packed with 40 markers, which they have a mix of things. One, they've got some numbers for objectives, but 2, you've got these sort of symbols here. These relate to
Yeah, Malkador's pretty sick.
statuses. There you go. That's a much more effective picture for you.
Yeah. So, in games of the Horus Heresy in the new edition, there are ways of interacting with your opponent's army that are more than just killing them. they are effectively giving enemy units debuffs or tactical statuses. These are usually caused by them being forced to take and then failing one of those advanced characteristics tests, and there are 4 of them. Pinned means that the enemy unit is pinned down under fire, either something like artillery or sniper fire, and they can't move. Suppressed is that unit is less able to return fire because they are ducking behind cover and trying not to take hits, basically. Stunned means that unit's going to be less able to react to things that happen in the game. And then routed means that you've actually just broken the morale of that unit and it's going to be fleeing. And these have slightly different rules in terms of how they interact with the rest of the game, but they mean that you can interact with your opponent's army in ways that aren't just blow them off the battlefield. Although you absolutely still can just blow them
Always
off the
an
battlefield.
option.
It's always an option.
Speaking of
It's nice to split up suppressed and
talk a
pinned,
little
in
bit
my
about
opinion.
the changes that happen to weapons. Weapons have new profiles. Eddie, you're very good at this bit.
Yes, so ranged weapons and melee weapons have both changed, and there are some things that will be very familiar and some things that have changed slightly. So we've got a bolt pistol here and a Saturnine Disruption Fist. Let's look at the bolt pistol first. It has range. That's how far it can shoot. It can shoot 12
inches, yeah.
FP stands for firepower. That's how many shots you get.
Okay, yeah.
You've got RS for range strength. Range strength of 4, very familiar to anyone who's ever fired a bolt pistol. The difference between range strength and strength is that some rules will only interact with range strength and some rules will interact with any strength. So it is a slight differentiation there. AP is how good at punching through armor it is. And then a big change to weapons in the new edition is that they now have a damage characteristic. So that's how many wounds you do if you get a shot through.
In my
and
opinion,
what that means is you have more differentiation between guns that are very good at killing infantry, light infantry, and guns that are very good at killing heavier stuff, like or do damage to vehicles or taking out terminators and things like that. So things like a bolt gun will be damage 1. Stuff like your las cannons and disintegrators and things like that will have a higher damage characteristic. Looking at the melee weapons, they've also gone through some changes. The big thing to note about melee weapons is that most of the time their stat line will be boosts or buffs to your existing melee stat line rather than being a stat line in its own right. So a Saturnine Disruption Fist, IM stands for Initiative Modifier. So you fight in initiative order in Warhammer the Horus Heresy, and that shows that this weapon is going to swing quite ponderously, but it's going to hit fairly hard. Attack Modifier is how many attacks you get, so in this instance you use your attack profile.
Yeah, but it might be, for example, +1 or +2.
Yeah, it could be, yeah. SM is Strength Modifier, so if you have a Saturnine Disruption Fist, you have +2 to your Strength. Saturnine Terminators are already pretty strong, so they're going to be hitting pretty hard.
I imagine.
AP is how good at punching through armor you are, and D is how much damage that does. So just on a read of that, you can see that a Saturnine Disruption Fist is going to pretty much kill anything short of a character in a single hit.
Beautiful. A lot of rules.
It's a lot of rules.
And it's just the sort of the typical.
I'm getting pretty excited.
What the team responsible for the Horus Heresy game have done. Essentially, they love this game and they poured all of that love into fine-tuning. And
I prefer damage to brutal.
And exciting things for you to experience.
Because if a weapon forgot brutal, then it can be really rough, like the night weapons.
Sort of, revitalized, and they're really excited to share it with you. We've talked a little bit about stat lines and the things that you refer to. The first place you'll find them is in the booklet that comes inside the Saturnine box. I'll show you. It's quite a nice little book. And in it you'll find all of the quick start rules and profiles and things that you need to use your models in your first games. This is absolutely, there you go, it's full of construction information, but at near the start you've got profiles and things to do. This is great for your first games, and you could just play this forever. But if you want to get more out of the Horus Heresy, you're going to need the new Liber books, which are coming out on the same day as the release of the new game. You've seen there's new stats and new weapon profiles and things, so we need new Libers to handle them. And there will be 5 released on the day that Saturnine comes out. The 2 you can see here, Liber Hereticus and Liber Astartes, deal with the Loyalist and Traitor Legions. These are massive tomes packed with lore and information about the legions, and also all of the stats you need, not just for the warriors, but also for those iconic characters. First captains like Sigismund or Primarchs like Lorgar. They're not alone. There's 3 more volumes that come out on the same day, and they are Liber Auxilia, which
that's nice. Don't need to wait.
Solar Auxilia, Mechanicum, which deals with the forces of the Tagmata, and then Liber Questoris, which is Knights and Titans, so the Questoris and the Titan legions. All 5 of those books are super comprehensive. They're fantastic volumes, and they launch on the same day as Saturnine. I can almost imagine in chat right now they're saying, but what about the Talons of the Emperor? Fear not. On the day of launch, we'll be releasing a downloadable PDF which has all the rules you need to use your force until your own Liber book is
Yeah.
released.
There's a little bit of a wait for the Talents of the Emperor Liber book, but it
Let's
will well
be
work.
real, who cares?
Absolutely. Wow. Right. Good. Okay. So,
I can't.
what I would say is we've covered all the models. We've covered all of the the rules interest. We'd like to talk a little bit about the lore. Perhaps you've been sat there in the chat and you're like, "What is this Horus Heresy, and how do I get into it? How do I enjoy this enormous, decade-spanning series?" Well, our lore master prepared a little message to explain how.
So, you've heard of the Horus Heresy. It's the foundation myth of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, an epic saga of events so cataclysmic they shook the galaxy to its very core. With more than 35 years of real-world history behind the setting, including 2 best-selling novel series totaling 64 books, a tabletop miniatures game and more, it could feel overwhelming. Good news is, it's actually pretty straightforward. And to prove it, here are 3 surefire ways to get started. The first way is the simplest by far. Packed within the new Warhammer the Horus Heresy Saturnine box game is the Age of Darkness rulebook. This honking great tome isn't just a rulebook though, it's also a fantastic primer for the events of the Horus Heresy. It's loaded with artwork and lore, explaining the build-up to the heresy, introducing the Legiones Astartes and the other main players, and even has detailed timelines of key events. But what if you really want the story? You know, all those novels everyone keeps banging on about. Well, if that's your chosen route, you're in for a treat. Just pick up the Horus Heresy Book 1, Horus Rising. First up, it's a genuinely excellent novel and sets up all of the events that follow. Want a brief, spoiler-free summary? By the order of the Emperor, Horus has been acclaimed the War Master. Everyone loves Horus. It's all gonna go great. But wait, what if you just completely time-starved and need another option? We've got you covered. The entire Horus Heresy series is available on audio, meaning no matter what's keeping you busy, you can get caught up. Walking the dog. Do it while Horus purges the legions of Imperial loyalists. Travelling to and from work or school. It'll sound better to the narrated events of the Dropsite massacre. Frantically painting models for your new Warhammer the Horus Heresy army. You get the idea. So there you have it. 3 great ways to start exploring the story of the Horus Heresy. The only question is, how are you going to catch up?
Yeah, I mean, that's
That was a great little lore primer.
pretty ways to get
I
through
have to
it.
confess that the audiobooks in particular are a favourite of mine. I've listened to the entire of the Siege of Terror series, usually when I was walking my dog. There are entire sequences that I can visualise where I was with my dog at the time that, some important...
I did that when I was hiking Mount Whitney with Devastation of
There we
Baal.
are. While we're talking about lore and things that are interesting, also coming out alongside Saturnine is an amazing new map produced by the Warhammer studio. This is the Carta Galactica.
I remember them releasing one of these last
at
time.
the time of the Horus Heresy. So, this is post-Great Crusade. You can see some of the more troublesome things that are taking place in the galaxy have begun. You can almost imagine Horus using his own equivalent of this.
You've got one just like this.
Probably carved into the skin of some...
scribble on it.
Yeah. This is an enormous fold-out map, really beautiful and just the perfect thing for your collection and for put on your wall if that's your jam. There's also coming soon this fantastic new volume, which is Journal Tactica, the Dropsite Massacre Part 1. This is our first of the Journal Tacticas that we'll be releasing for the Horus Heresy.
This is like
And it is
Crusade kind of stuff?
Slammed full of great content. So it's got lore, it's got scenario rules and ways to play to recreate some of those famous events. As you can see here, like loads of great stuff for you to add some
Smoke
variety and
screen.
interest to your games. And the thing that I'm really excited about this is we get to put a microscope over one of the most impactful events in probably the Imperium's entire history. Right, this was the
Very interesting.
Heresy, and really changed the fate of the galaxy. And the studio team are exploring it in beautiful detail.
Asset points.
One of the things about the Horus Heresy is that you do get to visit these amazing moments, especially if you kind of come to it through the fiction and you read the Black Library books. That battle sounds really cool. It'd be great to kind of bring it back to it. This allows you to do it. But there's a lot of the kind of DNA from some of those really well-loved black books, the very first editions of Horus Heresy in this. It's just a really lovely book.
Very cool, very cool.
If you're narrative minded and you kind of love playing campaigns and the Horus Heresy is great for that.
So we've still got some things to show you that perhaps you haven't seen. One of the things that I'm excited to show you, this is probably my favourite thing of the entire preview. But following hot on the heels of the release of Saturnine is a really impressive new kit. Perhaps we can roll the footage for that now.
That's the Kratos. Wait, is it? Oh my god, it's the Fellblade. It's the Legion Fellblade. It's not the god. Well, the Kratos. What am I, stupid? It's a Fellblade. And I'm glad to see the Fellblade come back to plastic. It's kind of a weird screen. Huh. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Alright, I won't go anywhere. Not that I planned on it. I don't have any plans today because I had to stream. Wonder if they're having technical difficulties.
This is unquestionably my thing I'm most excited
The
about.
Fellblade finally going to plastic.
Since I first saw one.
I love the Fellblade.
I first released one in beautiful border of resin. This is an all-new multi-part plastic version of that same glorious Space Marine Legion super heavy tank, and I could not be more excited. Here we go. The real thing is like 300 tons of armoured fury, powered by an enormous atomantic reactor.
That's pretty sick.
It is rocking 2 accelerator cannons. You can rip a Titan's guts out with those things. It has weapon mounts that you can see on it, so it's got the Demolisher cannon mounted in the front, those heavy bolters in the front.
Looks clean in the metal, honestly.
You can see here some of the options, right? So you can swap out the heavy bolters on the sides.
Heavy
or the
flamers.
cannons. You've got a heavy flamer option at the front. This thing is just a battleship with tracks, armoured fury incarnate, and I could not be more excited.
That's pretty sick.
I mean, you can't have one right now, Adam, but you can have one fairly
so
soon.
close to it is
You
the
can have one
problem.
fairly soon. Here it is. It is. You get a sense of just how big this thing is. But just to give you even more of a sense of it, we have brought along its little brother.
Friend.
Look at this. Trundling on stage left, we have a Predator, and you get a sense of just how big the Legion Fellblade is compared to what is a fairly typical sized tank in games of Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
And if I lift it up slightly, you'll notice that the Predator is ever so slightly shorter than the entire length of the accelerator cannon on this. But you can imagine one of these Fellblades leading like a pack of smaller Space Marine tanks around. Obviously, it shares the sort of similar silhouette and design style.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty sick. I'm glad to see the Fellblade out of resin.
An order of magnitude more impressive in terms of its firepower and just sheer mass, isn't it?
Yeah, I am just giddy about this. A bit too excited maybe, but in all of the best ways. Such a great looking kit, and I can't wait to get my hands on one.
Loads of really lovely big areas on there as well to put your heraldry on. So
Yeah, absolutely.
The guys have done an excellent job painting this. I think the Iron Warriors colours coming through really nicely there. If you are a painter and you want a model to show off your painting skills on, this is a nice one to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just give a nod to transfers. Saturnine, I put the transfer sheet somewhere else, but Saturnine has a transfer sheet with 1,172 individual transfers on. Some of them are very, very tiny. Some of them are like big enough to be decorating your Saturnine Dreadnought.
Some of them are like knee pad squad markers.
Yeah, absolutely. So, there we go.
There we go.
Coming in stage left.
Thank you.
Beautiful. So I always get a bit overexcited about transfer sheets because I can't do freehand to save my life. So this is where it's at if you're looking for
Salamanders and Iron Warriors,
and
and a bunch of squad markings.
These focus very heavily on the Iron Warriors and the Salamanders Legions. But even if they're not your jam, there's so many other useful markings on it. Like tactical and veteran or whatever, that you're going to have a good time.
There's some quite useful markings for any legion there. You've got like squad markings and
100%.
Tactical and elite and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So, we're still not done yet. There are still new and exciting things for us to show and share with you. But before we do that, let's jump across back to Question Corner with our Lore Master and see if there's any questions we need to address.
There are indeed. There's a lot of people asking very specific questions like army building, about specific rules like instant death balances. You guys are going to have an awful lot of articles going up on Warcom soon, aren't you?
Yes, so there are obviously quite a lot of rules changes across the new edition. We aren't going to be able to cover all of them here. What we can say is that we will cover lots of the rules changes in articles on the Warhammer community website over the coming weeks. So keep your eyes posted there, and there'll be all the nuance of how all these different changes are going to affect your games.
There's a lot of people asking, is the box going to be a range item?
So yes it is. So there will be
range items. Fancy words for will I be able to buy it for a long time, right? And the answer is yes.
It's the new starter
permanent
box
item of the Warhammer range. It will sit on the web store and hopefully in your local hobby stores and Games Workshop, Warhammer shops. You showed my age there, didn't I?
There's a host of people asking about base sizes. I think in particular the Terminators and the Dreadnought.
I knew base sizes was coming, and I was ready for it 10 or 15 minutes ago. There's loads of bases in the box. The Dreadnought comes in a 100mm base.
Oh my
think
god.
The Terminator.
100 millimeters.
It might be on 50s. I'll try and confirm it for you later, but I wouldn't want to bet my life on it right
50s.
now. Are they 50s? There we go.
50s.
When is it coming out?
We don't have a release date we can share with you today, but we wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't quite soon.
Yeah, that's fair.
And just to be clear, everything is going to be available at launch that we've shown off today, except for that Fellblade.
Everything so far except that film.
Oh boy.
Absolutely. That's quite exciting. Right, okay, thank you for those questions. Next, we're going to show you some new miniatures, but before we do, we would like to show you a teaser of something you'll have never ever seen before. This is a clip, a trailer, if you like a preview.
Exclusive extra.
Exclusive extra, that'll do. From the upcoming Kill Lupercal animation that comes out next week.
That's true.
Oh yeah, that's the Vindicare show. About how the Vindicares failed to kill Horus.
Taking ground fire, my princeps.
Points to full.
Diverting power.
Oh my.
Points at full radiance.
Good old Warlord Titan.
Limited feet from the targeters, my princeps.
I have it.
Missile launch.
Ground targets identified. The traitor 16th, my princeps. Sons of Horus.
Traitor bastards.
Composing target solutions.
No need. Autoloaders.
Priming princeps.
Pretty sick animation, honestly. I will admit.
That was awesome. She might have the best job in the Imperium.
It's up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really
Titan
good.
Princeps.
Eddie, what can you tell us about Kill Lupercal?
Yeah, so that was Kill Lupercal. That is the very first Horus Heresy animation on its way for Warhammer TV or Warhammer Plus subscribers, and that will be available to watch next week, the first episode.
Nice. Yeah, and the plot is set during the Siege of Terror on Terror itself.
That's right, yeah. So in the closing hours of the greatest.
Oh,
battle
okay,
in
it's not
human
about when the
history,
Vindicares
as
tried
the
to kill
last
Horus.
loyal Titans march out into the field to try and claim some semblance of victory from a hopeless siege.
Sounds awesome. Perfect. Right. We promised you that there would be a few exciting extras that we would close out the show with. And so what we've got is a little bit of a preview of things that are yet to come. We do, however, need to apply a little bit of caution here. These things are a few months out after the other side of Saturnine. So we'll show you on the proviso that you don't harass the social media team too hard.
Yeah, that's the deal, right? So we'll show you the stuff a little bit earlier than we might normally, but you're not allowed to pester the social media team every day about when they're going to come out.
Fair.
That's
Yes.
the deal. And if you're not okay with that deal, you can start watching.
Yeah,
but if you do
absolutely.
want to see some cool heresy stuff, then stay tuned and we'll show
I
you.
will
Well, in
happily
that
do
case,
that.
we should start with some things that maybe people have guessed are coming based on a couple of previews on Warcom with the Tarantula turret.
Tarantulas,
So this is
very
the
good.
Legion Tarantula. This is an automated weapon platform that the Space Marine Legions can drop in from orbit alongside things like drop pods and other orbital attack.
And the awesome new
things.
Arachne.
And the awesome new Arachne, yeah, it's the little brother of the Arachne accelerator platform that's in the Saturnine box. So if you did pick up a
I mean, I
Saturnine
like
box, you can
tarantulas, they're
supplement
pretty
it
cool.
with a few of
But I
these.
mean, how could I take that
Comes
when I
with
could
a
take
variety of
Arachne?
lethal weapons. Some classics return, including your las cannons and heavy bolter options. But you've
Not
also
sure why you'd
got
put a
as
melta
Volkite
on a
option
tarantula.
and a melter option in case you want to drop in and melt some tanks.
Volkite does look really
The
good,
Volkite
doesn't
is
it?
the best one, I think. I mean, obviously, they're all great, but my favourite's the Volkite. It's clearly.
Aesthetically hard to beat. It's not the only new thing that we're
Certainly not.
able to.
Rapiers,
to
very
We
cool.
have the rapier batteries.
Yeah, so there's a variety of different
Graviton,
ones you can
quad
design your
bolters.
batteries with, and there are 2 kits on the way. One of the kits gives you Graviton and quad heavy bolter options.
Nice.
The quad heavy bolter, I think, just looks phenomenally
imagine
cool.
that
right?
rolling down the corridor of a Mortalis zone and just absolutely hosing
imagine
it.
you're like, trying to defend a Zone Mortalis and one of those like rounds the corner and you're like,
I do like that little guy.
Yes, but those are two of the ways you can build it. The crew that come with it
Ooh.
are particularly cool. They've got lots of really nice little touches, including
You guys are
things like
sick.
scanners and
Those guys are sick.
There's
targeters and stuff.
almost some Tech Marine vibes on these guys.
Yeah,
isn't
some
there?
of the
Those
helmets are a
helmets.
little bit Tech Marine, aren't they? So certainly morphed into Tech Marines by the time they've gone through a few STCs and millennia on the way
Love
to
it, love it,
Warhammer
really
40,000. A couple of other ways these can be built as well. There's 2 kits on the way, depending on how
quad
you equip
fires.
them. This one comes with a quad launcher
Quad
and a
launchers.
laser destroyer. So basically,
favourite.
whatever you want to shoot at, there's probably a Legion Rapier that can help you do it.
Yeah, the Rapier Laser Destroyer.
Very
is
cool. I like the rapiers. It's about time they got out of resin.
Armor to pieces. I'm a big fan. Now, they also have a group of Space Marines who control them. There you are. Lovely and beautiful. But I'm ready to go to the next thing, which is a Mark II Legion Assault Marine. I've been very excited about this since they first.
They look pretty sick.
Early on today.
Yeah.
And it's great.
He looks like he means business, doesn't he? So it's not just a Space Marine with a jump pack. They've made some other modifications as well. You can see that his armor's sort of beefed up a little bit. The jump pack is absolutely enormous. It looks
I do like that
like
quite
a
a lot.
jetpack, lifting that kind of ton of Space Marine right into the middle of the enemy forces. The chain axe is huge. You can, it's like the size of a man, right? So you can imagine that coming down and just ripping stuff
Can you
to
imagine inviting somebody into compliance during the Great Crusade? Hi, we're here to invite you into the Imperium. Would you like to comply? My chain axe is bigger than you.
I think you would. I think you definitely
Yeah,
know
I'm
it,
all
right?
about compliance at
So
that point.
these are on the way a little way off, but they give you another way to put assault troops into your force.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if you've gone for your kind of like Mark 2s and 3s, very brutal looking armor patterns.
For sure. Speaking of Mark II and 3 and brutal armor patterns, one of the most exciting things you're
Ooh,
going to see today,
breachers.
imagine the chat
Finally.
has gone wild. Everybody loves the Space Marine Legion breachers, and they are coming in plastic. This is a Mark III Legion breacher.
Finally.
He's got that iconic shield. He's got a bolter with a drum mag because reloading is hard when you're holding a shield, and just that brutalist look that comes with the armor.
Love breachers.
I love
Glad to
it.
see
Very
it.
exciting.
Yeah, they look great. I think it's an upgrade as well, so you can potentially mix with different armor marks, but there is something about the mark.
So I use breachers in my current Dark Angels army, and they are great. They're brilliant for locking down areas of Mortalis zones or for just dying slowly on objectives.
I think that they always look so cool because they've got that huge piece of heraldry on the front, so you can just paint them and make them look amazing. And even just like, if you just put a splash of colour across it in a transfer, they look immediately cool.
That's
right?
all I've done, and mine look good. This one is beautiful, obviously, with the incredible
Wow.
paint job. Now, it's mostly Space Marines. Oh, we did that before. Here we go. This is a Space Marine still.
Yeah, there's more Space Marines on the way. We're only going to show a little bit of this guy, but is a Volkite gun. Obviously, bolters and disintegrators are great, but Volkite is another one of the staples of the Horus Heresy. But who is carrying this one? We're not going to tell you who it is, but feel free to speculate away. This is another Space Marine plastic on the way in the future.
Beautiful. Now, as I said, it's not just Space Marines in the Horus Heresy, even though it's mostly Space Marines. Here's a look at something that's coming from the Forge Worlds, maybe Mars.
There we go. So, yes, this is a
Kind of like
mechanical
Proto-Sicarians,
of
I think.
some sort. Not going to show you the whole model, but just
I really
in
like
case,
that gun.
You thought we'd
Isn't that
forgotten
cool?
about the Storm Troops of Mars. Don't worry, there are more things on the way.
Absolutely, a little tease of something yet to come. And speaking of teasers yet to come, and so that the talons of the Emperor fans are not left out, behold, this is a beautiful Guardian spear for an Adeptus, a Legio, I beg your pardon, Custodes model. It's a new model, it's a plastic model, and that's all we're going to tell you.
It's true.
Quite the tease. Quite the tease.
Custodian players to get their.
We just didn't want you to think we'd forgotten about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is everything. We have shown you all of our things, we have previewed all of our previews, and we hope you've had a nice time.
Most importantly, Adam, have you picked your Legion?
That is a good question. If I'm honest, my t-shirt and my hazard stripe on my laptop are probably an indicator that my mind was at least partially made up. I believe I'm going to go for the Four Seasons.
Iron Warriors.
It will work really nice with a lot of the things that are coming out in that sort of heavy armour, breaches,
Let us know in the chat if you have picked a Legion for your the new edition of the Horus Heresy and what colour you'll be painting your Southern box.
So, when this stream is done, if you are thirsty for more Warhammer entertainment, do not necessarily just leave. We'll be throwing the stream back to our colleagues over in the US who are currently at the Warhammer Open Dallas. There's going to be some incredible content there, including masterclass level paintings from Golden Demon winning painters. So if you want to see how experts do it and sort of keep up the Warhammer action, then you'll be very welcome to hang around and stay. If you want to see anything again that you've seen here on the stream, well, you can
That's exactly what I want.
Or you can head over to warhammercommunity.com. That's where all of the articles about all
Oh
of these
my
things will
goodness,
be.
they look fantastic, don't they?
Watch the videos back. You can get a reminder of all the things we've said. You can watch an amazing cinematic trailer all over again. And we'll be updating that website with new articles over the coming weeks. So it really is the place to be. You can also engage with us on our socials.
Oh, the Saturnine just looks so good. It looks so good.
Will live on YouTube as well. So there is.
Look at that helmet. That's mean.
Chance
It's
to go
mean
and
mugging.
relive all of this stuff. See your favourite things. Get some close-up look at those pictures if we move them too fast, and really fill your boots. But for now, what remains for us to do is to thank everybody out there, all of you who have come and joined our stream, for spending some time with us. Hopefully you're as excited about the new Horus Heresy Edition and Saturnine as we are. Thanks to Alex over in Question
Ooh,
Corner.
that
He's done a
Space
wonderful
Wolves one
job
looks
of,
great.
in line and answering your questions. Thank you, Eddie.
That's quite all right, Adam. I would have just been talking about Warhammer on my own if you hadn't come.
Exactly so. So we will leave you with one more look at that cinematic trailer. But for now, thank you everyone. Good night.
Well, I think that just about covers it. We're not going to watch the trailer again. I think there's a reason to. Hope you all enjoyed the stream. Very hype. Gotta start planning out some content, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.